Hi, good morning, and welcome to the ZP FoodSense webinar. We like to do this once a week, and it's really just answering technical questions that are coming during the week. I've got a quick image here of capsaicin, a bottle of capsaicin, and I've also got some chili puree in front of me as well. And there's a couple of things that we're going to discuss this week, which is the testing of pure capsaicin, and also the testing of chili puree. Let me jump straight into it. So we are talking about the FoodSense Generation 4. When it's testing chilies, people sometimes colloquially call it the Scoville meter. But that said, let me go forward. I do have a couple of cameras running here. One of them is the FoodSense Generation 4. But I want to give a kind of a background to this, that as people are kind of onboarding as clients, we obviously answer technical questions, which is what we're doing this week. Or rather, every Wednesday we do that. But once people are our clients, there is personal online training. Get on, do a demo. It's very easy. As you can see, the unit's very small. I have one in front of me here. We do weekly webinars. So if somebody has a question about capsaicin, dihydrocapsaicin, extraction of capsaicin from purees, etc., then we can answer those in the weekly webinars. And we also have monthly webinars as well, where we do live demos. Saying that, I was intending to do a live demo this morning as well, but on the 22nd of May there'll be a more sort of substantial live demo. If you see a link jump up, just know that that link will also be underneath the YouTube version of this video as well. So today I'm talking about testing capsaicin. Somebody's testing at 100 Scoville heat units, 500 Scoville heat units, and 5,000 Scoville heat units. 100 Scoville heat units is really tiny, by the way. Typically things are typically I would suggest 1000 was kind of quite mild, so 100 is extremely mild. And then the other question was about testing a chili puree, which I went and bought from the local supermarket, and I've been playing with that. I was expecting chili puree to be fairly straightforward, because essentially it's already highly cut up and sort of homogenized, which makes this extraction much easier. Just a quick one from the person's question. I think they want to do a 1 in 10 dilution, so that would be essentially 100 microliters of sample into 900 microliters of Chilipot buffer. So that's just a small thing, but just to correct that. It's probably worth saying that the AOAC HPLC method. So the AOAC HPLC method is HPLC is high performance liquid chromatography or high pressure liquid chromatography. It's a really massive, expensive instrument. Slow throughput, expensive to run. But they actually tap out, I feel, at least from the literature, that they tap out at 750 Scoville heat units. So when people come to us saying, I want to test at 500 and 100, I strongly would advise that I don't think there is there's the HPLC doesn't go down that far. So how you therefore validate that those test samples that you have are 100 or 500 by validating them by HPLC is quite hard, because the official methodology doesn't go down that low. I am going to talk about that. We actually have tested at least pure capsaicin, and that will be something I discuss today. I want to be very clear that even though I'm going to show raw data in a minute, the way the FoodSense Generation 4 works is we make a measurement and you will get the result on the phone. So here's an image of me taking a measurement, and then there's the screen, the phone will show you the result. But it's also saving the data to the cloud. And so I actually have the raw data for pure capsaicin. This is 4.58 Scoville heat units. That's ridiculously low, 4.58 Scoville heat units. Don't forget the scale is essentially 1 to 16 million Scoville heat units. So Pepper X is about 2.6 million Scoville heat units. So there's the scale and there's the practical scale, but 5 or 4.58 Scoville heat units is absolutely nothing. This is 45.8 Scoville heat units. I'm just showing you that we can get these strong signals at these low Scoville heat unit ratings. This is 458 Scoville heat units. Now you can see the signal is quite distinct. The reason I make sure that you understand that you'll get the actual Scoville heat unit on the phone is just to also say that we do save the data as well, but you don't have to look at this kind of raw data. But every time you do a result, the operator's name, the time and date, and the raw signal and the result all gets saved to the cloud. This is 2,290 Scoville heat units, and this is 4,580 Scoville heat units. So just to say that when people sort of say to us, "Oh, I want to sort of test on like known Scoville heat unit, let's say samples, rather than just raw materials," actually we also have done that kind of validation work as well. It's probably worth saying that we've got an ISO 13485 fully functional lab. I mean, this is a really world-class laboratory. So the way we feel about this at the moment is, yeah, if you want to test these samples, obviously then you will do a 1 in 10 dilution, which is probably 100 microliters plus 900 microliters. In real samples, we think that we can do 5,500, but 100 is starting to get beyond the limit of detection of the machine. So I'm not going to say that we can do 100, but the 5,500 is something that we can do, but I'm not going to say we can do the 100. Not because we can't do it, but then it's about accuracy. You're starting to get towards the sort of limit of detection. Don't forget the practical scale of this test is essentially it goes from 1 million to, it goes from, let's say, 1 Scoville heat unit up to 2.6 million Scoville heat units. There's one hell of a range. So you've got to think about, then trying to test at the extremely low end of that. That's a sort of another matter. Even though we can actually do 4.58 and 45.8, which I've shown today, you've just got to think in a real world where samples, are more complex. Then we would say that actually our limit of detection is more like 500 Scoville heat units. Question number 2 is about testing a puree. So I took a puree. Here it is. Purees are easier actually. I put it into the weighing boat. I was trying to weigh out 0.1 grams. I ended up weighing out 0.105 grams, but honestly, it just adds a 5% error. So I wasn't so concerned last night when I was doing this. We then took the buffer. I used the buffer to kind of wash out the weighing pan, so I could get that then into a little vial. I vortexed the vial. The vortex was only about €50 off Amazon, and then I prepared the sample. So what I'll do now is I'll slightly change screens. I've got it in front of me here now. Let me just go back. I will take the sample. Quite straight. Actually, I've put the sample in the pipette already. Let me just. So I prepared this sample. I'm just going to put it onto the sensor. I'll hit go to assay on the app. It asks me what the dilution required is. I appreciate that that's you can't really see the screen, but it's asking me, do I want to do a 1 in 10 dilution, and I do, and then I'm gonna essentially start the measurement, and it's basically just running through. The assay takes about 30 seconds to run, so it's going through the cycle now. You can see that I only need about 50 microliters of sample to actually run that. As I say, the puree is a simple sample type because actually it's all chopped up anyway, so it really makes the extraction quite easy, and then the assays come to an end. The result is 1,780 Scoville heat units. I appreciate you can't necessarily see that on your screens, but it's come back at give me the micromolar, which most people are not interested in, the ppm, and also the Scoville heat units. And it's also said that update's complete, so that means the result has also gone to the cloud. So quite quick and simple to run. And I did do I did an organoleptic test on that. I did a little bit of a taste, and yeah, it's definitely sort of mild on the Tabasco sauce. So that's a kind of typical kind of thing that we might get from a supermarket. So in summary, we have actually tested capsaicins. So we have done that kind of fundamental, let's say, analysis on this. There is no requirement for calibration in the field because actually we do all the calibration in the factory because we make sure that our sensors are kind of repeatable. And then somebody else different from the pure capsaicin person was actually just wanting to test purees. Purees are one of the easiest things to test because they're so chopped up, they're easy to extract. It's easy to extract the capsaicin off us. So we just weighed out 0.1 grams of this, of the, sorry, of, when I say of this, I should say of the puree. We put in 0.9 mils of the buffer. I vortexed it for about 30 to 60 seconds. I took 50 microliters, I put it on the sensor, and then we get the result. It's quite quick to do. So I want to say thank you. If you've got any questions of ZP, we do a webinar, a bigger webinar every month, and I'll put some links to that as well. But otherwise, thank you very much.